Welcome to Culture in Maine, York's weekly cultural showcase here on White Rose Community Television, the one and only. Now, I would love to say that I do this show just because York has so much incredible talent. I want everyone in York to know about it. But I also want the rest of the world to know how incredible of an art destination York really is. And this week, we have some very special guests who actually come to us from all over the tri-state area. But they're here just because York is indeed the place to be when it comes to arts and culture. So our first guest is spoken word artist, singer, musician, theatrical aficionado, Michelle Antoinette. She's also known as Love the Poet, and she recently brought her one-woman show, God's Country, to York Social Dance Studio, and she gave an incredible performance, which we were able to capture, along with some, of course, on-point, insightful interviews. Now, our next guest after her is Sean Graybill. Sean Graybill is the one-man band Cult Choir, which is exploding on the Lancaster music scene and already getting attention far outside of the region. But he came to York to do several shows and to perform for us. So that was a huge honor to have him join us. And then our last guests are actually from some footage that we were able to take at the YorkFest Arts Festival, which attracts dozens of artists from all over the area, including the Mad Butterfly photographer himself, Ralph Halvacek, who we spoke to. Now, Ralph came all the way down from Lebanon. Over the next few weeks, we'll be profiling several artists that came from all over the place just to visit York. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy being very, very, very proud of the wonderful cultural destination that we are all lucky enough to share. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more accolade-applauded spoken word artist than Love the Poet. In fact, she not only hosts Warm Wednesdays down in Baltimore, which is one of the longest-running spoken word venues in the entire country. She hosts additional venues throughout Baltimore and D.C. She's one of HBO's Punany poets who travels nationally. And she's got all kinds of awards from God's Country, her one-woman show that is currently touring. Now, it was a pretty big deal for her to add York to her one-woman show rotation, but she heard such great things about the scene and was so excited to share her words with our community that she came and did a show right here at York Social Dance Studio, which is a great performance space, and took the time to talk to us a little bit about some of the things that went into the creation of a self-written, choreographed, produced, and performed one-woman show. So, listen, learn, and of course, as always, enjoy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michelle Antoinette Nelson, aka Love the Poet. I am Love the Poet because, well, initially started out as Love. When I was in college, I hosted an event, multiple events as an RA. And one of the things I had people do, even though it was cliche, I thought it was funny, after somebody performed, I would have them go, love, and snap. So when people would see me on the yard walking around, they would say love and snap, and eventually they just started saying love. And I needed a stage name, because back then you needed stage names. This is around like 2000. You needed a stage name for a college slam that was going on called the Battle of the Schools. It was the very first one, and by Poetry for the People, Baltimore. And I needed a stage name, so one of my friends was like, why don't you just call yourself Love? It fits, and that's what everybody calls you anyway. So I did, and since then the name has evolved to mean so much more to me and to why I create and why I do what I do. But I added the poet once. I believe it was Femi and David, the fifth L, who put me on a flyer, and they said Love the Poet. And I liked it, like a little double meaning, and I kept it. So there's Love the Poet. chrysalis, I'm spun into this, in time infinite, I'm reborn again. A new form I'm in, my second life begins. Knowledge flies, my friend, I never walk again. I was born from a womb that should have been my tomb, but I was stillborn. Defying the fate of the stillborn, I rose warm with a heart warm from pumping with no oxygen. But I breathe again. Ready to love, to speak life, to inform. And unsure what darkness feels like, cause my light keeps me warm. So once for me, I breathe heavy and stretch my arms. Shatter sound barriers when I yawn. My former existence gone. So I remix, reinvent, super chickenness. I wasn't meant to let my inner wings lay dormant. So I scratch rhythm I'm rocking. I am turntables turning, DJing, playing the new tune that I'm in. And I wasn't meant to be a little human, so I mastered these poems. And no need for jewelry shining, language be my adornment. And beautifully, I wear it. The need for imagery apparent, so I form this chrysalis, cocoon light, but I rise from it as a butterfly, not moth the light and flames. I refrain from even in the dead of the night. I will take flight. These wings bloom from thoughts. I'm too agile to be caught, so keep your palms shut and you're watching your watch. For what? Time is infinite and it can't be clocked, so stop. And patience be also marvel as I sprawl aerial, no longer at the feet of you. And I build a spirit true to the righteous few who know reformation really do. And I renew like Mr. Crew with the bird's eye view, flocking together in plain sight. Nature, powerful, inject, colorful, reveal, wonderful, but it's oh so woeful. That's the powerless yet hopeful. I appear as an insect, simple, blind faith cripples. So open your eyes, know that God is everywhere, even in your soul. You are not a weak sinner, you are a powerful life giver. So I embrace my potential until the chrysalis becomes invisible, and a new creature with the wisdom of a teacher your eyes behold. And ignorance will keep me shackled, so I refuse to be owned. And by being in the know, these wings unfold. So if ever my life is fabled, let it be told that I marched up a stack of journals, plated in gold, wrote myself into myself until I became evolved, and spoke each line of rhyme until its walls began to fall. Stood upon the stage of life and said this message to you all. An artist must live a do beyond many human laws. Say I write the hardest things no one else ever saw. Speaking octaves your ears can never hear. Ever growing, always changing, placing courage before fear. And ignorance be our bliss. So I am no longer happy here. This is the day love the poets disappear. The chrysalis, I'm spun into this, in time infinite, I'm reborn again. A new form I'm in, my second life begins. Knowledge flies, my friends. I will never walk again.
Oh, mercy. Oh my goodness, I fell asleep. Oh, I just took a little nap in my office. Oh my goodness. What time is it? Oh, it's time for Bible study. Oh my goodness, I'm late. Oh, get myself together. Oh my robe, I fell asleep. Oh my robe, oh my. Okay, it's just a little wrinkle. It'll be all right. Let's see here. Oh, it's gonna be such a good night. My very first Bible study. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm nervous. Get myself together, at least wear this in there so I look a little professional. Okay, my Bible.
I can be found regularly at Be Free Fridays, which is the last Friday of every month at the UB Blake Center, 847 North Howard Street, Baltimore, Maryland. I can also be found probably pretty much every week. I am the co-host of Warm Wednesdays, founded by Walter Maxwell Jones. It's been going on for 15 years, every single Wednesday at the Five Seasons, 830 Guilford Avenue, Baltimore, Maryland. And my actual nights of hosting are the first and third Wednesdays of the month. That's where you can find me regularly. Everybody,
Yeah.
how y'all doing?
Alright.
Y'all alright?
Yeah.
My name is Love the Poet, and I'd like to welcome you to one of Baltimore's longest running weekly open mics, Warm Wednesdays. How y'all feeling?
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys are here. I'm a multifaceted artist for many reasons. Poetry is the foundation of everything. I've been writing for 21 years, since I was 11 years old. And I think that I am a musician in my heart and soul because my family is a musical family, you know. My uncles, my father, my grandmother sang, play instruments by ear, and things of that nature. And I decided at 28 years old that I wanted to play the guitar and learn to play the guitar and worked on my vocals, and because, you know, it's just kind of to pay homage to my loved ones, my lost loved ones, my uncles, and now my grandmother. And to have, so my dad has somebody to bond with over music because, you know, most of his family's gone. And I think that I've gone into acting because I think it's a natural progression of things. I'm a performance poet, and a lot of my work is very narrative, and I tell stories, so I create characters anyway. So I figured, why not delve into not just creating characters, but bringing other people's characters to life and getting into theater and learning that trade, because ultimately all the things that I do come together to make me a much better, stronger artist overall. I will shoot at the moon and strangle her stars. Black out on Mars. Earth will see just fine until I bungee jump on every last power line and electrifying way to die. Give me my power back. Ignite the light in your psyche, power pack on the backs of brilliant black winged bugs, airtightly sealed in a glass jar, flying, tapping, seeping, scarred while the world is peeping. I will shoot at the moon who made me and strangle her stars, because almost innately they hate me for loving you people so hard. Well, along with God's Country, which is my one-woman play, I also travel the country with the Punany Poets, I see on HBO. And that I've been doing for about 5 years. And this happens, our tour seasons are heavily during Valentine's. So we start like the end of January through February and into March. And then we try out new shows and things like that during the summertime as well. I'm also doing Come On Son, which is a tour produced by Acoustic Rebecca DuPas's production company, and it is a combination of amazing. It is 4 women who do comedy, poetry, soul searching. It's basically breaking down stereotypical roles of the black woman and just making it, it's very fun. We do a whole segment where we talk about like what you ain't gonna do, which translates into come on son, like why would you do that? Come on son, like what are you doing? So, and I often wonder why I do. See the naysayers say to each other while pointing at her. Yeah. She must be demon spawn, man. She's wild. Look at her lifestyle. She silently cried through a smile since a God's child. Listen to the lesson, the blessing in this confession of a young woman's thoughts. Of how she must pay the cost from the constant cost from those so busy focusing on her faults they don't know that they're lost. And she's hurting. Pain tattooed in her skin. Part of the very process, growing, stretch marks showing because it all happened so fast. She outgrew all the boys in her class. They pointed and laughed, and 5 years later they want to immerse her in a bathtub filled with thorns. Bled dry by 100 cycles and skin pricked equally by thistles, and with his liquid her every crevice is now filled, and now her baby is born. And it's her own childhood she mourns. And now that it's over, he no longer knows her. But the naysayers say to each other while pointing at her. She must be demon spawn, man. She's wild. Look at her lifestyle. She silently cries but with a smile. Says I'm God's child. People do want to label me. I hate labels. So I don't let them label me. And the minute they want to label me, I do something else. What you're here for is life changing. Politically speaking, for those seeking a new way. Saying the same thing their mamas beat them over the head with every day, so I need you to consider this confirmation. A spoonful of sugar to help you take your medicine for hasty decisions that go the wrong way. Yes. Have faith like Mary when God pops in. But do not be wary, because he is always watching, so be at the beat. Meet in the streets where converse and concrete meet conversing with ice cream, but where we've been.
leaving footprints in the cement because he carries us through the sand, never to be beached as whales be. Walking and talk through whales, being the things that ail we as a people. Marathon your life goals because they're reachable, with endurance is simple. So you charge up your iPod, reverse the curse of the apple.
At one point, there were things that I did not like to write about or share out loud. And that was honestly, funny enough, like love poems and like sex poems. So you couldn't get me to do it. And I thought it was, and a lot of it was because I didn't want to be cliche because my name was Love and everybody expected, like, you don't know how many people wanted to draw hearts and make my logo a big heart fest. And I was like, yeah, no, it's not gonna happen. Not now, not ever. So I did a lot of like things about self-love and things like that, but I didn't get into the romantic relationship aspect of it. And it wasn't until Jessica Halter, the founder of Punany Poets, came down from upon high, I don't even know where. I met her at the Baltimore Book Festival, but I had no idea. I thought I was just meeting her, like, oh, this is the Punany lady, like, wow, you know, and come to find out she had been paying attention. And the minute I cut my locks off, because she said the locks weren't really the look she was going for, but the minute I cut my locks off, she found me and asked me to audition, and I really had some heart-to-hearts with my people, with my friends, and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't write erotica. I don't do nasty poems. I don't, you know, I had a very interesting view of what we do. Like, we do sex education theater, so a lot of my pieces that I already had that dealt with down low with the AIDS and HIV and things like that fit perfectly, and it's exactly what she was looking for. But also, of course, you gotta be racy, you gotta say some things to get into people's minds, to get them to want to listen to other things that are a little bit more intense. So that's how I got into it. My friends were like, just do it. I was in a place in my life where I was miserable, and they were just like, do it, travel, get out of here, just go, see what happens. And well, here I am. But now, I don't really think there's anything, any line that I won't cross. I'll write just about anything.
Oh, it's my turn. I gotta start. I guess I do. I'm like right here, right? But I don't really want to do this though, Pastor, for real. I really don't want to talk about why I'm here for real. I mean, I guess I saw my name or whatever. My name is Marquisha. For real, I really, like, Pastor, this is really not, like, I ain't signed up for this, though. But okay, whatever. So, my mama said there'd be days like this. That's why I'm here. This all started because the thug nigga gave me a kiss on the cheek. Damn, I'm weak. I got a baby and I'll be 16 in a week. See, Pastor, my mama said there'd be days like this. Like when I saw my thug nigga shot and killed, crying, drenched with the blood that was spilled. Yo, for real, I ain't lying. I don't know what to do. There's no more dope money to feed my baby. My mama, she kicked me out. She said I was crazy running behind some thug nigga who straight abuses his lady. Me. So caught up in a pipe dream, living a life rated NC-17. It's hard to believe in a week I'll be 16.
I think some of the things that people have told me about my work have been specific things that come to mind immediately. I do a piece called Judgment, which talks about my sexuality and what I've gone through with my family and coming out, the coming out process and things like that. And people have come up to me afterwards and said, I'm homophobic and I have issues with it. But after hearing that poem, I have a whole different perspective. And thanking me for being brave enough to say those things to them and to put that into perspective for them. After doing Passion Fruit Tea, which is a poem about a brother who is on the down low, he has a wife and he has a boyfriend, and the piece is not about the sexuality, the piece is about the infidelity. And I had this woman, I never really knew why I wrote it. You know, I was given a prompt, somebody said write a poem about passion fruit tea, like the actual tea. And I just put a play on words and that poem came out. And I didn't realize until I did Blues Alley in Georgetown. And this woman, older lady, walked up to me afterwards in tears. And she said, "You wrote my life." She said, "That was my story. How did you do that? How did you write my story? You wrote it exactly as it happened." And I said, "Ma'am, I don't know how I wrote your story, but obviously I wrote it for you." And that was, you know, so I've had people come up to me, adults come up to me afterwards, after shows, asking me how I do what I do. And so that allowed me to create another thing that I do, live lyrics, poetry classes for adults. I do workshops and artist development classes. So that also supplements income when I need to do workshops and things like that. And I teach classes. I can do it over 6 months or whatever. But that made me want to start doing that. So in 2006, I started my first classes with adults, because I learned that you're never too old to learn something. And obviously there was a demand for it, because people really genuinely wanted to know how to write, or they wanted to write better. And so I started to supply that need as well. Damn, sure. Real, that was real though, for real. Damn. My name is Sean. Yeah. My name is Sean, Pastor. Everybody. Hey, what's up, man? Well, I'm here because, just earlier, I was down on Monument in Linwood, for real, right? Feel me? And I was at the corner store. You know what I mean? Me and my mans and them, you know, and this cop, this cop come out of nowhere, just grabbed me by my collar, and he like, sit down. I'm like, what? Damn, my man's come out, he grabbed me by the collar, do the same thing to him. And then this cop nigga, you know what I'm saying, look just like me and shit. Excuse me, Pastor. I apologize. But for real though, like this cop nigga for real, right? Get myself a hold on. This man looked just like us, right? He's standing over us like we his sons or something. It's like we his sons, trying to son us, you know what I mean? Pounding his fist together, talking about, I'm here now, and now that I'm here, I don't want to see you around here no more. I'm like, whoa. Like, I know what I look like, you know? I know I don't look like I'm so smart or nothing, but I know my rights, you feel me? And I also know, follow me on this, right? I also know that the 13th Amendment, it states this. Now, the slavery nor involuntary servitude, except for a punishment for a crime whereof the parties are duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or places within its jurisdiction. So what that means is, follow me, you feel me? Okay, so what that means is, I know I'm looking like crime stop for somebody's chain gang and everything, but I wasn't doing nothing this time. I just went in there, holla at a shorty, give me some hot Cheetos, and a half and half. Yes. I wasn't doing nothing this time, for real. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to change my ways, Pastor. While I'm here tonight, I'm trying to change my ways this time. Because being book smart and dirt poor in my neighborhood don't get you nothing but time. I think I'm able to be a full-time artist, a professional poet, because it, like you said, it's the hard-working dream. You know, I've been milling at this for a minute, you know, I was working a full-time job for a while, but I used to say I worked 2 full-time jobs, because I was definitely a full-time poet while I was working a full-time job. I just slept very little. And it just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I can't even focus at this job. And if I work nearly as hard for myself as I do for other people, then I will be able to sustain. And it really, honestly, is a step out in faith. You know, sometimes times get very hard, as within any situation, and that's what I had to realize and grasp. Even if I went to work every single day, which I had done, some bills weren't getting paid. I was still living paycheck to paycheck. And I said, well, if I'm going to live paycheck to paycheck, then if I was going to live paycheck to paycheck, and if I was going to be this stressed out, I might as well be this stressed out doing what I love to do and being passionate about. So, you know, being able to work at night and kick it with my friends and do poems and chill out, I would much rather do that than have to be at a job day in and day out and still be struggling. So I just kind of put things into perspective, and things built up on themselves to the point now where I'm like, I can't do half the things that people are asking me to do. So I have to kind of pass stuff to other people. And like, I used to be the type of person that would be like, I can do everything. Yeah, let me get that gig, let me get that gig. But at this point, I can't. So I'm blessed beyond, because you put the wheels in motion, and eventually you will have a surplus of things and people will contact you regularly. But it's just, you have to stay at it. You have to do it day in and day out. And this is a 24/7 job. It's not a job where I can clock in and be off. You know, sometimes I don't sleep because I've got something I have to do, a deadline, something like that. But it's definitely hard work, and I love every single minute of it. Well, I ain't seen nothing my whole life. So that's supposed to mean that everything in this country is worth worshiping. Oh, see, I know God, Pastor, and I seen God, but He ain't been in every Christian come past me.
Wow. Right.
And I know old Mo just supposed to be here to sing song. I know that's what you're hiring for. That's why I'm here, supposed to just play and sing. I know, Pastor. I know, but I want to praise God. For my blessed ability to speak also. Yes. Well, so they pity me, right? They pity me because they say I've never been able to look upon a woman and know her pretty. And well, they don't fear me, men mainly. They don't fear me because they say my eyes can't lust for them. But would they? If my eyes could see? See, I love God. See, I do. And I know ain't nobody ever looked upon him seeing as though he's a deity and all, but I love the love of his energy. Just like I love the love of his energy. See, I don't cleave to imagery. Well, hell, I can't see. I can't see. And those that don't run from me because my eyes don't long for them, well, they should know their energy I do not need.
Right.
So, well, I pray thee get thee behind me. Yes. I play the gospel, and I love me some blues. I play that too. I love me some blues. Oh yeah. Oh, more like the blues. Next for me. Immediately next is for these fall months. I planned out to fall into the beginning of winter. I planned out doing God's Country again in Baltimore in December, again in DC in January, and that is 2 weeks before I leave for Sacramento to do the Punany tour, which will go through February. And I'm also currently in a play called The Power, Passion, and the Pulpit, written, produced, directed by Lamar Hill, who is an amazing spoken word artist. He's one of the legends in the realm. And he's also a phenomenal playwright. He did this play in 2008 and packed out the Lincoln Theater in DC and the Murphy Fine Arts Theater at Morgan in Baltimore. And he wanted to bring it back, so I was cast as Mrs. Mission Senior, one of the lead roles. And so we're currently in rehearsals, but the play won't go up until about March or April. So after the Punany tour, then I'll be doing this play. And and God's Country will also happen in Miami at the end of March. It's been the show's been picked up, so it'll be in Miami at the end of March. So, and Come On Son will happen intermittently between those things as well. So schedule's pretty full, but those are the things I'm working on from now until probably 2015. low, but now I'm found. 'Twas blind, but now I see.
Now, our next guest started out in a basement studio and ended up becoming a one-man, full-on band known as Cult Choir. Sean Graybill is not just super talented and incredibly creative, he is also a continuous master of reinvention. He does his own artwork, his own layering, a lot of his own mixing and mastering, and this is a guy who actually taught himself how to play most of the instrument that he layers on his album. Now, the new album is incredible, and he's going to be here to share some of those songs with us and talk to us a little bit. But I just want you to appreciate and enjoy and have as much fun with the mad music master that is Sean Graybill, also known as Lancaster's emergent, dreamy synth pop band, Cult Choir.
Hi, I'm Shane Graybill of Cult Choir, and I am releasing my new album, Beautiful Funeral, on the 30th of this month, November, at the Seed in Lancaster. And here's a new song I just wrote while I was in Nashville. It's called Deliberate Pain. Hope you enjoy it. None of this ever crossed my mind, and now it won't go away. Leaning trees on the mountainside try to warn, but we still stay. Onwards as the truth draws near, and freedom will start as of now. Always knew it would end like this, never was quite sure of how. Fleeting moments of doubt and revenge, my head is in a bad place. Now I don't know where my home is, doesn't seem to be a trace. Lights out, walk through the parking lot. Been having some dreams of death. Yes, ma'am, I think I've been hexed. The Lord won't save me, the Lord can't save me now. The church gathers around. They think a cure can be found, but darkness holds onto light. This next song is going to be on upcoming underground or Lancaster underground music vinyl compilation called Seems Like There's a Show Every Night. Not sure when you can pick it up, but it should be coming out in the next couple months. It's called Funeral Drugs. Now I know why you sang at the funeral last night. You're a sick little girl, and I see myself with you. Don't know why. Ooh, ooh. My hands are dry, my feet are tired, I'm in need of some rest, but I don't get none with you, because you're up all night, every night, and I hear you crying. Was I too late, or was the feeling just wrong? I must have let you for way too long, but I saw something different. Guess it's all good for nothing. You're so suspicious, suspicious girl. You don't believe me at all. What can I say? What can I do? Let's get away, just to sleep tonight. just to sleep tonight, just to sleep, just to sleep.
I'm here with Shane Graybill, who is also the face of Cult Choir and the awesome musician behind the fabulous Beautiful Funeral, which he also did the artwork for. Just as an aside, this guy is multi-talented. Now, we were just talking before we even started filming about that you have one of the most unusual processes to creating your music that I've ever heard. You are a self-taught musician, and then you have your own system of how you create music and remember what you've written, because you don't actually know what the specific names are for the notes that you're playing.
Yeah.
So how do you keep that all in your head, and how do you remember what you've done and what you've recorded so you can replay it?
Well, I don't always remember it, but a lot of times I'll just like take a picture of how my fingers are on the
so you're
guitar.
like, this is the chord,
Yeah,
and then
I'm
just
like, here we go.
you selfie your fingers.
Yeah, selfie my fingers. Or take like a video of like right when I write it, the song, like on any given night, I'll just take like a short little video of it, and or sometimes I'll just record the guitar part that night or whatever, like a synth part that night, and then I'll forget it for the rest of my life, and it'll be on the album, but I won't know how to play it.
So do you actually do the computer work as well, all yourself? You produce and put together the whole album. And now Beautiful Funeral is your third full-length album. And as you described it, there's a full band sound on each CD, but it is you and a bevy of instruments that have been created out of the ether.
I have... my dad was nice enough to let me use like the basement floor of a building that he owns, and I kind of converted it into a little like studio. And so I have almost every single like instrument you could want down there: drums, bass, guitar, a ton of synthesizers, random other little instruments and knickknacks.
And you've taught yourself how to play them all.
I wouldn't say taught myself. I would say I made noise out of all of them to be on the album, but I don't know actually what I'm doing. I just kind of like hear out whatever sounds like it's working together. So I actually use an iPad to record everything, and I have a little camera insert that I connect a microphone to, and I record each thing one by one. Just keep building and building on it.
And the sound is fantastic. I mean, this is very produced studio quality sound on these albums.
I do take all my tracks once they're done to John Livisier at Sound Design Studios off the Centerville exit. And he kind of beefs them up a little bit for me once they're done. So that's probably why they sound a little bit better than what I'm saying.
So now tell me about Beautiful Funeral, because that is, even our little art, we have a little hint of darkness here. And you're all like so sweet and happy. And so how do we get to the dark, twisted, dreamy synth pop of Beautiful Funeral?
I think that's why. I think like the fact that I get all that kind of ominousity and darkness and surrealness, like I put all that into my music, and I feel like I can kind of get that out of my soul or whatever you want to call it, and maybe that's why I'm kind of like an upbeat person, because I would say most people think I'm like not the way that my music is. Yeah. But I kind of think that makes sense at the same time too.
So you have both in you, you just choose to put that into your music.
I mean, no one likes a downer, but I prefer sad and dark music.
Nice. So what would you say is the overall feeling? Like, how would you describe the feel of Beautiful Funeral? What do you want people to feel when
It's
they
definitely
hear it?
surreal, and I try and take the listeners kind of on like a musical journey, as far as every single song kind of is pulling in influences from like all over the musical universe. So there's stuff that mimics, 50s golden oldies, 60s psych rock, 80s new wave, shoegaze, and just like electronic music of today. So I try and keep it interesting.
So where does the darkness come from? From Mr. Happy and optimistic.
I just feel like sometimes I feel like everyone has like their bad days, and I definitely have those days where I just can't stop thinking about dying, or you know, like you never know when you're gonna die, and it's just kind of, sometimes I just feel like there's no, you know, certain direction you're supposed to lead your life, and sometimes that can get depressing, just not really knowing what is gonna happen as your life goes on.
There was a poet friend of mine who actually had a series of pictures taken of her looking as if she was dead, which I thought was the craziest thing ever. And she said, well,
pretty cool.
It's because I'm afraid of dying. So I needed to look it in the face. I needed to confront it so that I could not be afraid of it anymore.
Yeah.
That once you face it and deal with it, you're able to let it go. Is it something like that with the music for you? Once you record it, once you write about it, does it make it less something that you get caught up in your brain about? You can then let it go?
I think so. I think that it makes it not like humorous, but the fact that I do write a lot with subject matter of death or the afterlife or demons, depression. I think because I sing about that stuff, it's kind of like I'm facing it full on, kind of, just not really worried. At first I was worried about it, and now that I'm singing about it constantly and thinking about it, it's just kind of, I think it's almost the same thing as your friend. It's just, you feel better about it almost.
Now, you are an insanely busy musician, talking about singing and getting it out there.
Yeah.
Now, your album is totally available right now on your Bandcamp page. People can download it.
Yeah.
They can also get hard copies
It's
at your shows and all of that.
It's pay what you want on cultchoir.bandcamp.com. I really am just a lot more interested in people downloading it for free and actually listening to it, which I'm not really interested in making $5 off a CD. You know what I mean? I would much rather just have someone be like, man, I listened to your album and it was really cool. I really appreciate what you're doing. Sometimes I get emails like that, which is the best thing ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what are all of the different things that you've got going on right now? You're already learning how to do a whole new type of music. You've been working with the loop station and the electronic stuff.
Yeah, I just debuted my electric set on Saturday, opening for Quilt at Kung Fu Necktie in Philly. Really good show. I loop 3 different guitar parts. One's a bass sounding guitar part, one's a lead, one's a rhythm, just so it sounds nice and full. And then I walk over to kind of a rigged stand-up drum set, and I sing while I play drums.
That is awesome. And what's some of the other stuff you've been having going on? Because you're all over the place right now.
I'm recording with a good friend of mine, Will Beatty. He's a hip-hop artist. So we're taking some of my like darker, slower tempo electronic music and having him rap over it, and it sounds awesome because he sounds like a mix between like Andre 3000 and Nas, and I absolutely love it.
Wow, that is cool.
I'm doing another collaboration in the upcoming future with Nick Curran from Salah Salah. We're probably going to do a more like stripped down acoustic thing, so that'll be nice to get back into. I have another collaboration with my good friend Andrew Rudder. We go by Saranac, and that started out as a stripped down thing, and now it's into like space synthesizer rock. I don't know where it came from, but
you have the best music type names ever. Space synthesizer rock, like that's hot. That's completely hot.
I just pull it out of wherever.
I mean, you are a songwriter, so
yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that skill level. That's awesome. So now your Facebook page has like almost 2,000 likes on it. I mean, from a very homegrown, pay what you can local musician, you're playing all over the place. You're playing out in Philly. You're playing all over the state. You're working with these incredible musicians, opening up for great bands. Yeah. What advice to some of the other local musicians that are watching this would you give them to be able to reach that level of success that you're really enjoying right now?
I wouldn't say I have too much success. I mean, it's cool that I'm starting to like actually get people, that to just listen to my music. I mean, that's rewarding enough. Honestly, I would just say perseverance really does pay off. you know, it always seems like the day that I'm just feeling super down about making music, where I'm just like, why am I even doing this? Like, no one gives a shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
It always seems like those days are the day where I'll get like a call from a venue being like, hey, do you want to open up for this band? And I'm just super stoked on it. Or it'll be the day where, you know, I get an album download and someone just leaves me a really nice compliment online, like, this album is great, or, you know, something along those lines. It just always seems that when you're having the worst days, something just happens to happen and just turns it around, which is just perseverance, you know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Shane, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for having me. I
coming
really
and talking
appreciate it.
to us. And everybody, make sure that you go to Cult Choir's Bandcamp page, pay what you can, leave a little something, and take home some incredible music. The CD is fantastic. I promise you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Shane of Cult Choir.
Yes.
Every August, York gets taken over by one of the premier art festivals of the region. Now, we are talking a juried, prize-filled, award-winning art festival featuring artists, performers, musicians, contest competitions, and all kinds of art and fabulous things from all over the tri-state area and beyond. It was a pretty big deal to get all of those people to come to York, but they are clamoring for spots every single summer. We were able to go visit them back in August and get a little bit of footage and talk to some of the award-winning artists who were best in show at the exhibition. Now, one of them is the Mad Butterfly. He does photography, which is black and white, but digitally altered and inspired by poetry that he writes himself. So it's a pretty cool thing to watch when he brings all of that together. His name is Ralph Havlicek. We also have some other artists from YorkFest that we're going to be profiling and looking at that have come to visit York and show it off as the cultural destination that it is over the next few weeks. But enjoy our first visit to the YorkFest award-winning artist series. Here with one of the most exciting winners of the festival, Ralph Havlicek. Reason why he's so exciting is he won the best new artist in the show, which means nobody here has gotten to see the incredible work that he does until this year. Now, he has a very new and unusual spin on photography, but he's going to tell us and show us some of his own work, because who better than the actual artist himself? Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
For giving us a little tour of your mini gallery. Now, this is photography, but it doesn't look like photography. What do you do to it?
Well, it's digital photography, for one thing. I do a lot of work in Photoshop, and I do a lot of work with textures, which is basically taking multiple pictures and layering them over top of each other. I do that a lot with the textures to give depth to my pieces. Like this one here, if you want to pan around, this piece here is actually 9 photographs. The door standing up in the woods was the focus scene, and each of the artist dummies is another photograph. And I also have, I believe it's tree bark. If you see the modeling in the door, that tree bark gives that door a little bit of texture. And that's how I create the depth that I want out of my pieces. And I also go for a little bit of the darker side. Not evil. I like, you know, it's just it's like ethereal with a touch of darkness.
So a lot of your photographs actually do have their own story to tell.
Yes, they do. And the reason not everything does have something written is because I wait for the photograph to tell me what to write.
Betsy Lamb of Westchester, Pennsylvania has one of the most creative booths, even for an art festival. You get to make your own silk scarf. So we're actually going to check out one of her very young but very talented volunteers who's going to show us how you can make a one-of-a-kind silk creation. Key Crittenden from Lincoln
University.
Pennsylvania.
That's right.
And another award-winning artist of distinction. She's going to give us a little tour of her booth and some of the incredible clay work that she does. You want to show us around and introduce us to some of your work?
Sure. This is all laid on light lamp.
Now, what is some of the processes that you use to create this? I've never really seen clay work like this before, where it's almost like it's wrapped around, and then you have the shapes coming out of it. It's sculptural.
No, I throw the piece already. I made it, and then I start when they're really wet. Next day, I start to carve out. So every individually small size of it.
So that's really time consuming.
Yeah, usually start when I start to cut that kind of piece, about 8 hours to cut. So not eating or eating. Sometimes just constantly you have to work with it, otherwise it's getting dry and then it's going to be all cracked. So I have to when you start it, you have to work with it.
As always, it has been awesome to spend some time with you here on the corner of Culture in Maine. I know you love York just as much as I do. How could anyone help it when they see all the talent that comes here to visit us? But we still want to hear even more about what you would like to see, hear, and enjoy on the show. So send us your comments, your questions, your suggestions for future segments, and your ideas. You can find us on Facebook at Culture in Maine. Make sure you click like to get all of our updates and YouTube episodes. Don't also forget to email us, cultureinmaine@gmail.com, or visit us online at wrct.tv. Just go to Channel 18 Show Profiles, and you'll see Culture in Maine's page right there. You can even follow us on Twitter at Culture in Maine. So we really look forward to seeing you week after week. Please send us your comments and suggestions. Make sure you join us each and every time we air, and be good to each other. Have a great night. As always, I'm your fearless host, Carla Christopher, and this was Culture in Maine.